Okay. Hi everyone, my name is Doug, and I'm glad you guys all came here today to listen to my speech. And I wanted to start off by saying that many people suffer from anxiety disorders. They come in various forms, but they all have one thing in common. They all heavily impact your life. And based on the survey, many of you guys already know, most of you I would say already know what an anxiety disorder is, but not the specifics of it. And according to the ADAA, which is the Anxiety and Depression Association of America, over 40 million Americans over the age of 18 suffer from an anxiety disorder, which is 18% of the population. And despite the idea that you are very alone when dealing with an anxiety disorder, there are many resources and people that can help you out when you deal with it. And I know a lot of people, especially in my life, say that it's not anxiety and depression, it's not like a whole big deal, but actually it is. It's a lot of people have it and it can get pretty tough dealing with it on an everyday basis. And despite what people say, anxiety, it's a controllable thing. And based on the survey results, many of you didn't know exactly how to, I would say most of you didn't know exactly what to do when you treat it, and that's what I'm going to talk about today, to show that anxiety disorders are treatable. And like I said earlier, there's a lot of people who brush over mental health. There's a lot of people who think that it's not very serious, but I'm here to tell you that it's okay to have a mental health issue. It doesn't mean if you're weak, if you have it, or you want to seek help. It should be treated like you would when you go to a regular doctor. It's just a thing that happens. And now, before I start getting into the whole analysis, I want to talk about regular anxiety versus a disorder. There's a lot of people, based on the survey, there's a lot of people who think there isn't much of a difference between like a disorder and regular anxiety, but there's a big difference. That regular anxiety and disorder, there's a big difference between it when the symptoms and how you feel about it. And the U Lifeline has stated that it's extremely common to deal with anxiety and you'll never live your life without feeling anxious. And the whole big difference is how common it is, how intense it is, and how bad the symptoms are. And regular anxiety is just worry about a particular event or thing going on. For example, that they could be worrisome about a school deadline or exam or a doctor's appointment. It's never too intense or deteriorating. And comparing it to something like a disorder like generalized anxiety disorder, it's very constant and chronic, and the anxiety interferes with schoolwork and family. And that's the big difference. Usually, like for example, today probably a lot of us are nervous about doing a speech, but after it's done, we feel it doesn't affect us after we're able to calm down, but most people aren't able to calm down. They feel very stressed out after, and they have a hard time calming down. And my first disorder I'm going to talk about is generalized anxiety disorder. And according to the ADAA, generalized anxiety disorder is characterized by persistent and excessive worry about a number of different things. I'm going to shorten it to GAD. People with GAD may anticipate disaster and be overly concerned with money, health, or work, or other issues. People with GAD find it hard to control their worry. They may worry more than it seems warranted about actual events, or may expect the worst to happen when there's no reason to be concerned. And the ADAA also states that people with GAD don't know how to stop their worry cycle and feel it is beyond their control, even though they usually realize that their worry is more intense what the situation really warrants. All anxiety disorders may relate to a difficulty tolerating uncertainty, among other things. Therefore, many people with GAD try to control their situations or plan them out. And some of the symptoms of GAD include persistent worry or anxiety about a number of areas that are out of proportion to the event at hand. They overthink things and solutions to all possible worst-case scenarios, and they have difficulty handling uncertainty. They have an inability to set aside or let go of worry, and they have an inability to relax, and they always feel restless, and a constant feeling of being on edge. And some of the physical symptoms of it include fatigue, trouble sleeping, muscle tension or aches, trembling, feeling twitchy, nervousness, sweating, and nausea and diarrhea. And the next one I'm going to talk about is panic disorder. And the ADAA states that panic disorder is when an individual experiences seemingly out-of-the-blue panic attacks, and they're preoccupied with the fear of a recurring attack. These attacks occur anywhere at any time. Most commonly, it's common when you could wake up from it, like you could wake up and all of a sudden you're having like a really bad panic attack. And about 2 to 3% of Americans experience panic disorder in a given year, and it's twice as common in women than men. And panic disorder can interfere a lot with daily life, causing people to miss work and go to a lot of doctor's visits trying to figure out what's wrong because they're very preoccupied with it. And avoid situations where they fear the panic attack might happen, so they might fear going out, afraid that it'll happen, they can't do anything about it, and it's a scary thing. And it can make you feel fearful everywhere you go, fearing you might have a panic attack. And some of the symptoms of panic attacks include racing heartbeat and palpitations, shortness of breath, feeling like you were choking, dizziness, nausea, shaking or trembling, numbness in the hands or feet, chest pain or tightness, and feeling you might die. And just to summarize it, I'm going to talk about the difference between GAD and panic disorder. And although they have very common, like similar symptoms, they're kind of different disorders when you look down to it. GAD is more worry about everyday things, like you're worrying about, it's like, you think about like a certain situation in your life and you just stress out about it too much that it's more than what's supposed to be, and they blow it out of proportion. However, unlike panic disorder, GAD sufferers usually don't have panic attacks. Unlike panic disorder, where they have panic attacks and worry about having another one. And next I'm going to talk about the causes of it. And according to WebMD, researchers don't know exactly what brings on anxiety disorders. Like other forms of mental illness, they stem from a combination of things, including changes in your brain, which is mental stress, and even in your genes, and can be linked to faulty circuits inside your brain. And that control fear and other emotions. And according to the survey, many of you don't know exactly how, I would say most of you don't know exactly how to treat an anxiety disorder. And many people don't know that anxiety disorders are very real and they're highly responsive to treatment. And some are afraid or embarrassed to tell anybody, like their loved ones or doctors, fearing that they might be considered a hypochondriac, and that's when they think there's something wrong with you all the time, there's always something. And the ADAA states that a number of types of treatment can help with anxiety disorders. Supportive and interpersonal therapy can help, and cognitive behavioral therapy has been researched and specifically treats thoughts, physical symptoms, and behaviors. All therapies have shown positive outcome in dealing with anxiety. And in treatment, they help to understand the nature of anxiety itself and to be less afraid of the presence of anxiety. There are a number of medications that have shown to be effective in either treating anxiety alone or with therapy. And relaxation techniques such as yoga, exercise, meditation, breathing, stretches have also been shown to help. And thank you all for listening to my speech.